Next, we're going to talk about linear equations. Uh, Linear equation is the equation whose graph is a line. Um, Most of you are familiar with the fact that, in general, linear equations are written in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope of the line and b is its y-intercept. In fact, if I had asked you to just give me the general equation of a line, most people would say, yeah, I remember that. It's y equals mx plus b. Whereas the only exception to that is a vertical line, which cannot be written in that form, such as what you see over here, the line x equals 2. And that's, of course, because a vertical line has an undefined slope, so you can't write it in the form y equals mx plus b, where m has to be a number for the slope. So this is what's called, let me just write this here, this is what's called slope intercept form. And although that's probably the most famous form of the equation of a line, there are two other forms you should be familiar with, one of which is going to turn out to be very useful in answering questions in this course. Um, so one of them is what's called the standard form, which is often written as ax plus by equals c, or sometimes you'll see it alternatively written as ax plus by minus c equals 0. Either of those is considered standard. Um, and the next form, which is often more useful, you should be familiar with this for this class, is called point slope form. And what this is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1, where m is the slope of the line and x1, y1 is a point on the line. So a couple of words here about this. First of all, point slope form, just like slope intercept form, only works when the line is not vertical. In other words, you have to have a defined slope. The other thing to keep in mind is that in this equation, we're going to, when we actually apply it, the y and the x remain as y and x variables, but y1 and x1 are going to be a specific point on the line, so those are actually going to be replaced with numbers. The second thing to observe is why standard form is called standard form. And the answer is that standard form uh, works with any line, including vertical lines, while the other two forms do not. If you notice, standard form, we can actually solve for the slope of a line in standard form. It's worth noting, by the way, that, let's put it up in a different color here. It's worth noting that the slope, where it exists, is equal to negative a over b. You can get that just by solving for y and putting this equation in point slope form. But that, of course, assumes that b is not 0, because if b is 0, you get a vertical line. That brings me to the next point, where you can see that this line x equals 2, I can write it in the form 1x plus 0y equals 2. So it is possible to write a standard form equation for a vertical line, whereas it's not possible to write one in point slope form or slope intercept form. And that's one of the reasons we consider this to be the standard form, because it works for literally any line. So we're going to write an equation of a line that is parallel to the line 3x plus 4y equals 5, and that passes through the point negative 2, negative 7. In order to do this, first of all, we need to know what the slope of the line we're looking for is. Since we're looking for a line that's parallel to the given line, what we want to do is find the slope of that line so that the new line is going to have the same slope. So I did give you the formula for the slope of a line in standard form, but we can solve for it directly. All right, 3x plus 4y equals 5. I'll just zip through the algebra. We see that the given line has a slope of negative 3/4. We don't really care what its y-intercept is because we're only interested in its slope. Now it's just a fairly straightforward matter to write an equation of the requested line. That's going to be y, write it in point slope form. Recall that point slope form is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So write y minus negative 7 equals negative 3/4 x minus negative 2. Clean that up a bit. right? Y plus 7 equals negative 3/4 x plus 2. Either of these would actually be okay. And you could convert this if you wanted to into slope-intercept form, but there's really no need. An equation in point-slope form is perfectly good. It's a perfectly valid equation of a line.